Well, we have to kind of look at what we refer to as the mind, because again, we have kind of like like an upgraded version, so to speak, or more modern, more sophisticated model in order to look at things. But and while we kind of get that, I mean, a lot of people get it when they encounter ancient wisdom, spiritual sciences, quantum physics, all that type stuff, and we define the mind as the energy field that surrounds the body. Even when people kind of get that, they'll go right back into their everyday life and start talking about the mind as if it's the brain, or talk about the mind as if it's the heart, and instead of kind of learning to perceive out of the new model that allows us to see a more holistic approach to things, or allows us to see things in a different way. And the reason that this is such a rich model is because in order to really see and understand or comprehend the true meaning of unity because everything exists in a state of being expressed already. So we have to kind of break it back down to the level of reality where it exists in a unified state, or where it exists as a common, where we're still the same thing, okay? So what we do in spiritual sciences is we break everything down to energy, because energy is the fundamental nature of the universe, and everything that's in expression right now that has been manifest and is a part of our perceivable reality is energetic in nature, is an expression of energy in some way or of some form. So if we break everything back down in terms of energy, it helps us to get a very neutral, simple model, so to speak, to learn about ourselves, right? To learn about the universe in terms of looking at ourselves. But more importantly, it teaches us how to learn to use our mind in more effective ways to express in reality, because all expression is the invisible as energetic essence, as intelligence, coming into expression, or expressing as that motivates or shapes and forms our physical reality. So it gives us much better tools to work with, but we have to upgrade our current model to incorporate the new knowledge so that we're able to perceive more sophisticated levels of reality. But the basic, and the other beauty of this model is that it holds true to the idea of the micro and the macro, realities nested within realities, fractal patterns, the holographic. I mean, all these things are embodied in this model, because this model says that the true mind, when we use the term mind, is referring to the holistic aspect of the self, which is pure energetic essence that's around us at any given time, vibrating in certain frequencies, that when we use certain equipment, we can actually photograph it, and it appears as colored clouds, okay? Because plasma, as etheric light, as the astral light, so to speak, looks like clouds. And the quality of energy, which is directly reflected in our state of mind, or the emotional state that we are in any given moment, determines the colors of not only our aura or our electromagnetic field, but if we are holding any kind of energy in our body in terms of frequencies, because all energy is a form of frequency, it shows up as different colors that are like little spots or little areas within our body that just shows different types of energy that we're holding in those spots that will at some point have a direct effect on our organs or on that part of our body, in a sense. I don't want to go into too much detail on that, but so the mind, as the energy field of the body, forms an egg shape that completely encapsulates the body, or completely envelops the body within it. And the energy field is what informs the body. And what we mean by this is energy carries vibratory qualities as intelligence. And intelligence, the way to look at intelligence is basically patterns. And it's what we refer to as archetypal patterns that have that embody principles as form that has function, right? A principle says that when a principle is operating, it has a specific behavior. It has a specific way of unfolding, and how it unfolds governs or orchestrates, motivates the behavior of the whole situation, okay? And we call these dynamics. A pattern unfolds as a dynamic that has behavior inherent in it. So intelligent energy is filled with patterns, archetypal patterns, that we use when we embody, when they affect us through what we call resonance. We actually bring them into expression. They help shape our character and determine how we express ourselves in the world. And the other thing that I want to point out briefly about resonance, because there's not a full comprehension of the idea behind resonance. Resonance is not only a vibration that stimulates a like vibration, right? If we take two guitars, for example, and we tone them both to the same tonal scale, and we set one across the room, and we strum, say, the E string on one, the E string on the one across the room will begin vibrating in resonance with, because they were tuned to the same tonal value. Resonance not only like interacts with each other at a distance, okay, this is an important feature, but it also, the reason it interacts is because that vibrational quality or frequency is able to enter into the other one that's of the same frequency and move it, vibrate it, excite it or stimulate it, and this one has a reaction to it that forms an interaction. Okay, so when we form resonance with something that's of the same vibratory frequency, it means that we literally enter into it, or it enters into us and moves us the same way, stirs our emotions, our feeling quality, which is what a vibration is. Vibrations felt in the body as experience are feelings. Feelings that have an emotional quality to them, because the feeling stimulates an emotion in response to it. So the energy field is filled with this intelligence, as vibratory frequencies that form, that have the potential, I should say, for various forms of expression. Okay? And the energy field enters the body primarily first through the heart. So the energy field determines and shapes the body, first of all. The body is a product of the energy field. Okay, so this is the higher mind, or the bigger mind, that encompasses the body. The energy then enters the body in through the heart. Okay, and the heart, while we traditionally have been taught that the heart's a muscle that pumps blood, in reality, we now know that it's actually a hollow organ, that the pumping action generates an electromagnetic field, and this electromagnetic field that pushes the blood through the body. But it's also symbolic of the fact that when the energy directly enters the body through the heart distributes the intelligence or the information throughout the body. And it sends a small portion of the information, a real small portion of the information, to the brain, because the brain's primary function is to take sensory information, i.e. vibratory intelligence as encoded with sensory data, and decode the sensory information to create a full-blown 3D conceptual reality that we can experience with our senses, right? With sight, sound, feelings, taste, smell, that stuff. We can create an experience which requires us to use our physical senses. So, and the rest of the information gets downloaded into the body in primarily the torso area, which is intuitive. This is our intuition that gives us gut feelings. We now know that our entire body has neurotransmitters in it, which means that we actually think with and perceive with our whole body. We don't just do it with the brain. I think the brain gets a lot of attention too, because it's behind the eyes. So and we're perceiving the world, and the brain's in up here. The brain talks, it forms, it thinks, so to speak, in conceptual terms as language, spoken words that form concepts of things, because that's what it does. It creates a conceptual reality that we can perceive. Whereas the intuitive aspect, the lower, the gut, what we call the second brain, is the gut. It thinks in feelings. So it's having feelings, emotions about things, which actually employ a lot more information that form whole perceptions of ideas, where we get detailed information about things, or we have whole stories emerge about things that inform us of them, that we do it in what we call intuitively with our gut, right? So, and of course the heart area itself is, you know, an organ of the body where we store memories. So a lot of our ability to perceive is through the heart or the chest area, and it comes in the form of memories that we reference and associate to bring patterns from the past into the current moment to recreate the same type of idea. And this is how we have a tendency to keep living out of the past, or regurgitating stuff and keep creating the same thing over and over and over. I get stuck on patterns, so to speak. But so when we look at it that way, we can see, and because we know that our energy field, which we know we can measure it, easily measure it, get a definite measurement 14 feet from the body, but we know that it probably, the subtle aspects of it go much further. And like I said, we don't really know because we can't measure it, but we're guessing that it probably goes somewhere in the neighborhood of a mile or two from the body. So we're actually able to not only interact with our environment, but form feeling perceptions of our environment based on our mind field, based on you know, the electromagnetic field that's informing our body all the time. So when we look at it this way, this gives us a very definite model that shows our interconnection with not only other people, but with the environment, with nature, with animals, with all living beings, but it's done at the energetic level. And their energy fields are also meshing and blending and influencing our energy field. So we're in a constant state of communication, so to speak, at the feeling, intuitive, emotional, innate level with everything else. But we don't think of it that way because we keep calling the mind the brain, so we keep thinking it's the talking apparatus that wants to tell us about stuff. And that's how we perceive that's what we call communication. So we just have to learn how to look at it a different way and really learn to tune into how we feel as a general rule of thumb, and entering into the feeling of other things and allowing it to stimulate emotions in us that form a perception of the nature of whatever it is that we're being influenced by, as a means of connecting, merging, blending, and having what we call a form of communication that's more of a transmission from energy field to energy field. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to light, because we have models, okay? And this isn't just modern models that came out of quantum physics that brought consciousness back into the equation as being the one that determines matter. But this is ancient wisdom. This is thousands of years ago we knew this stuff, okay? So, but if we learn how to bring new information in, to upgrade our models and how we look at things, and we learn how to perceive the world using that knowledge, it allows us to grasp what can be abstract terms that don't really have a lot of meaning. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, because a lot of people, when they talk about the mind, they're really talking about the brain, or they say we should listen to our heart instead of our brain, and they don't realize it's all part of the same system. So it's more about learning how to tune into feelings and emotions in a situation and be able to comprehend what we mean by energetic vibration that we're completely interacting with all the time, and being able to form a perception of that, so to speak, or being able to conceive of it as a means of interacting with everything else. So it just gives us different ways of looking at things.